This video is brought to you by the Deck of Many and their Heckna 5e campaign setting book. Hello and welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. This week I received the terrain I picked up during Dwarven Forge's last Kickstarter, and I thought I would share it with you as most of these pieces will be coming to their web store soon. This set is called Hellscape. It's basically a spin-off of their Caverns Deep set that introduces several new ideas that I'll let you know all about. Now, there's so much here that I'm going to split it into a few different videos. In this video, we'll just give you a brief overview of the whole set because I want to get this video to you before their current Kickstarter campaign comes to an end later today. Then we'll do a deeper dive into the various innovations and standout pieces in this set. We'll show you comparisons and compatibility with other terrain sets, and we'll be sure to answer all your questions. We cover a lot of terrain here at the Gallant Goblin, and we'll be covering a lot more going forward. There's an option for people at all price points, but be aware that Dwarven Forge is one of the highest quality options, but also one of the most expensive sets out there. But I'll give you some tips on getting the best bang for your buck toward the end of this video. We'll also take a closer look at Dwarven Forge's most recent Kickstarter and try to draw your attention to some of the standout pieces, and I'll give you some purchasing suggestions. If it's already ended by the time you're seeing this, you should still be able to get in for the Pledge Manager, which won't hit for another month or two. For now, put on your lava retardant boots and let's explore the Hellscape. Let's start with a close look at a few of the basic Hellscape pieces so you can see the general quality and level of detail that goes into these. Dwarven Forge terrain is designed to be modular, so you can mix and match from a small collection of pieces to make a wide variety of playable spaces. All the pieces have a subtle 1-inch grid to facilitate gameplay. It's made of a special plastic material Dwarven Forge calls Dwarvenite, which is quite heavy and feels a bit like a dense rubber to me. It's extremely durable and should last you a lifetime unless you store it in an actual volcano. Most of the pieces in this set take existing sculpts from Caverns Deep and apply a new paint job to them. The modern Dwarven Forge pieces also come with embedded magnets, so you can attach them to these terrain trays, sold separately, which allow you to make builds ahead of time and bring the encounter rooms to your table quickly during the game. This terrain tray features a magma river, but there are trays with grass, stone, still water, running water, ice, the endless void of a bottomless pit, even a heaping pile of gibbering mouthers. They have trays with a variety of shapes and designs, and many of the Dwarven Forge pieces are designed to show off the tray with what are called negative space builds like this. One thing to look for if you're wanting to make negative space builds are banks or ledge pieces like these, which subtly shift the floor onto the map itself. Dwarven Forge usually sells sets of banks or ledge pieces in various configurations and designs. The main innovation in this set is the Dwarven Forge light panel, which will illuminate a large area of your terrain. We're going to go deeper on the light panels in a future video. For now, I'll just tell you that you can daisy chain them together into various configurations, with each panel measuring 8 inches by 8 inches. They plug into the wall and have a dimmer so you can set the intensity. Unlike all previous Dwarven Forge terrain, most pieces in the Hellscape set are made of this translucent yellow Dwarvenite, which maintains the durability you're used to with Dwarven Forge, but which will allow the light through. The paint on the rocky pieces of the terrain is opaque, blocking the light, but the lava is painted with a translucent paint, so it glows while the light panel is on. Now, you don't have to use these pieces on a light panel, but it really does make them shine, so to speak. You can also use the panels for negative space builds by using their, quote, phantasmal filters, which we'll talk about in our light panels video. But these function rather like glowing terrain trays. The light panels don't attach to the magnets in the terrain pieces, so you'll want to build these on your table ahead of the game. Now, even if you don't want to go all in for the light panels, many of the showpieces in this set come with built-in LEDs with replaceable batteries. Here we have the Volcano, and then the Tri-Spire and the Cerberus Warhound. These pieces are controlled with little switches on the side of the piece, or on the bottom sometimes. There's only one setting, off and on, so unlike some of the other systems we've looked at recently, you can't set these pieces to flicker with different patterns. Here you can see a big setup taking up most of my gaming table. Again, we'll be making dedicated videos for each of these big pieces on the table soon. Now, I've mentioned that Hellscape Terrain is expensive, and I wasn't joking. I didn't use every single piece I had for this build, so it's hard to know for sure, but what you're looking at here, including all the light panels, probably cost about $1,500. I'm hoping to be able to use this set professionally and recreationally for basically the rest of my life. Now, you can either purchase new Dwarven Forge from their annual or lately semi-annual Kickstarter campaigns, or you can order them from their web store. Prices do go up once they hit the web store, so Kickstarter is usually the way to go if you're able to. One thing to keep in mind is that Dwarven Forge does tend to keep its value pretty well over time, so if you decide to sell it later on, you should be able to recoup a lot of your money. I won't promise that you'll turn a profit, of course, but for certain sets you might. Now, Dwarven Forge sells their terrain in various sets. Sometimes it's by function, like Hellscape bank pieces or floor packs, but they also sell whole encounter rooms. Let's take a look at one of those now, as I suspect you'll be able to pick up this set of figures, give or take a couple of pieces, when Hellscape hits their web store, hopefully later this year. And this is a more affordable way to start your Dwarven Forge collection. This set is called the Crucible Chamber, and it contains enough pieces to design a simple room of various shapes to have a good combat encounter in. The Crucible Chamber itself was $139 for the painted set during the Kickstarter, and $79 unpainted. Let's talk briefly about painted versus unpainted Dwarven Forge. You can get a lot more bang for your buck if you purchase your terrain unpainted. The trick is knowing which pieces are easily paintable at home. As I've said many times, I'm as amateur a painter as they come, but there are certain sets of Dwarven Forge that are ridiculously easy and quick to paint, but there are a lot of others that are definitely not. Luckily, it's the main bread and butter pieces that you'll probably want a lot of that are easy. Here's what unpainted Dwarven Forge looks like. Anything that's just using the standard cavern paint scheme, you can easily do yourself. This entire cavern set here, I painted all by myself. Easy peasy. Dwarven Forge has a painting tutorial series on YouTube that will walk you through the process, and they sell their own paint, which is affordable and extremely easy to use. If you use their paints and their recent guide videos, your pieces will match the factory painted ones, so you can mix and match. Oh, and by the way, they do have transition painted pieces if you want to move from a standard cavern to a Hellscape cavern, or perhaps the resident red dragon has scorched up the ground with its fiery breath. The Town Builder set that you've seen 100 times here at the Gallant Goblin, I painted that all by myself. It has a few extra steps, but was completely doable. I painted this whole town set in about a day. Finally, the standard dungeon paint scheme here is also very easy to do at home with the official tutorial videos. If you're wanting standard caverns, dungeons, or town pieces, I highly recommend getting them unpainted unless you have a lot of disposable income. You'll be able to get them around 30 to 40% cheaper. Now, there are some sets that I would not be able to paint myself, at least not well and easily. Unfortunately, Hellscape is one of them. They have tutorial videos for Hellscape paint schemes, and, well, you can tell by watching it that a lot of effort does go into painting these translucent pieces, as you might imagine. The other set I wouldn't try to paint myself is the Forest set, which has a ton of tiny details in it. They do have a tutorial video for the Dreadhollow Forest set, and if you're more ambitious than I am, you can certainly go for it, but I don't think I could match the factory paint job by myself with the time I have available. Each Dwarven Forge set comes with a lot of little scatter terrain and subtly painted pieces as well. Things like daises, altars, and like the doors you see here. When I'm deciding what to buy, unpainted versus painted, I try to look very carefully at each to see how intricate the paint job is, and if at all possible, I get them unpainted. But sometimes it's worth the extra money just to get a nice paint job on these small pieces. Now, it's often worth just seeing what the difference in price is between painted and unpainted pieces, as it's not a flat % increase to get each set or each piece painted. Sometimes the price increase is almost negligible, so you might as well get the painted set. Basically, the less complex the paint job is, the smaller the premium you pay to get them painted for you. Today, September 2nd, is the last day for the current Dwarven Forge Kickstarter called Wildlands. It features 3 different environments: the forest, swamp, and mountains. The forest really expands upon the Dreadhollow Forest set from last year, with more open ground and opportunities for negative space builds. The swamp is all about those negative space builds as well, with a new type of terrain tray that has a reflective sheen on top to more resemble water, plus many dead trees and fantastical swamp plants. The mountain set lets you really focus on those vertical builds, making multi-tiered mountains and valleys, often utilizing their new battle boards, which are more substantial and will fit right up against your existing Dwarven Forge floors. I'm still here deciding which sets to pick up myself from the Kickstarter. One thing I've decided though, those mountain pieces are definitely paintable. The swamp and forest, again, probably not so much. They also have some awesome special pieces like an app-powered light puck with a lot of LEDs inside that you can make some crazy customizable patterns with. And then they have several cool toppers for it to turn it into an oracle pool, a natural spring, or a magical arcane portal. They have a small, inexpensive fog machine that you can put inside a lot of the hollow Dwarven Forge pieces to give your forest a nice atmospheric misting, which is a must for your Curse of Strahd campaigns. They have an awesome modular waterfall that I'm definitely not getting unpainted. And there's a cool little modular bayou barge with its own LED lantern. Just an amazing array of fun stuffs, and that's not even scratching the surface. And if you're watching this video after the Kickstarter ends, again, don't worry, because they always have that pledge manager stage of the event where you can usually still get in and make purchases at the Kickstarter prices. And if you want Dwarven Forge terrain, again, the Kickstarter and pledge manager are the ways to go, because it's the only way you can be assured to get exactly the pieces you want. Not everything gets restocked down the line in their store, and it's cheaper. So, man, I want a lot of feedback from you for this video. What are you planning to get in the current Wildlands Kickstarter? What would you like to see from our Dwarven Forge videos? We'll be showing a lot of comparisons to other terrain sets and how you can use the pieces together, and we'll take a critical look at how things like the light panels work in practice, because I do have a few mixed feelings about them so far, but I do need to spend some more time with them. And what do you think of the Hellscape terrain so far? You can find the link to the current Dwarven Forge Kickstarter in the video description down below. We'll also put a link to the Dwarven Forge webstore where you can shop around for older sets. Speaking of Kickstarters, we want to thank our sponsor for this video, the Deck of Many. They have a new campaign setting book hitting Kickstarter next week called Heckna. Heckna introduces a new carnival setting called the Revelia, which has a creepy, mysterious vibe to it, just like a real-life carnival. The Revelia is overseen by the titular Heckna, who likes to fright and delight his audience. With a name like Heckna, I'm assuming he's a completely sane and stable ringleader. The Heckna setting book will include everything you need to run a campaign in the Revelia, including background lore, location information, new monsters, new magical items, and more. To learn more and to sign up to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live, visit heckna.com. Look for the Kickstarter to launch on September 8th. Many thanks to you as well for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the video, kindly leave us a little thumbs up button down below. Again, I'm really wanting to hear from you on this video, so please leave me a comment down there too. Subscribe to see our future videos in your feed, and we do have a lot to show you in the days and weeks to come. For all the latest news and happenings, you can join us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Otherwise, as always, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.